Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. Today I want to talk about my decade in review. I have been seeing on social media everyone doing like the 2009 to 2019 before and after photo, like where they started and where they ended. And while I was really tempted to do that, I started to reflect and I thought about it. You can post a picture and a picture doesn't really show growth or change. It doesn't show where you were at and it doesn't show where you currently are. I know that if I pull up any picture of my life from 2009, I'm going to look really, really happy. But the truth of the matter is that was a very difficult year for me. It was the first year I became a parent. I was finishing up school. I was struggling with a lot of things. My relationship with my ex-husband was on the rocks. And so it was a difficult year for me. So I didn't want to post a picture because I don't feel like a picture does justice of the growth that I have in the last 10 years. Typically, every year on New Year's, I do a thing where I post and share blessings that have happened to me throughout the year. So once a week, I write down something that really stood out to me, some way God blessed me, something unexpected, something exciting, and I put it into my gratitude jar. On New Year's Eve, a tradition is that me and my daughters, because they have their own jars, is that we open it and we pull out and we review and read all of the good things that happened to us. And there should be 52 things in there. Sometimes there might be a little bit more because some weeks I have extra blessings. Anyways, I do that every single year, and what it allows me to do is it allows me to focus on the things that I'm truly grateful for instead of focusing on maybe the things that didn't happen or the things that I didn't accomplish. And thinking of that gratitude jar and preparing for the New Year's, I thought about doing that again, but this year I really wanted to do something different. So I spent some time going through old planners of mine. I like to keep them. I like to see goals that I set, things that I was working on, and watch my growth. And I really recognized that there was a ton of things that I overlooked, a ton of growth that I had over the last decade that I hadn't even thought about. And so I want to talk about my biggest blessings that I have had over the last decade and share this with you. My challenge to you is to not only watch this video, but to start to reflect on the things that have changed for you over the last decade. While 10 years may seem like a long time, it truthfully goes by like that. And so I think that it's easy to overlook the growth, the successes, the happiness, and things that we found throughout the last decade. But I challenge you to really take time to think about it. And when you do, it'll give you a reason to smile. So let's go over my top 10 blessings over the last 10 years, or my top 10 successes, or my top 10 changes that I'm really excited to share. So the first one is obviously I had two beautiful daughters. I had my first daughter in 2009. So that was like the start of me being a parent. And then I had my younger one in 2013. So it was really exciting to be able to become a parent and just grow. And I'll tell you, like, no matter what books you read, no matter what school you go to, no matter what business starts, or no matter whatever happens, you're never going to learn as much as you can learn in parenthood. And so for that, I just am so excited and just so proud to be their mom because I continue to learn and they continue to push me. So that's like super inspiring to me. During the top 10 years, my second success was my degrees that I earned. So not only did I earn a bachelor's degree, I earned a double master's and I earned my doctorate degree. So those were really big goals that I had for myself. I value education. I valued continued learning. And ultimately, the cool fact about me, I'm a little bit of a nerd. But if you haven't guessed that already, sometimes it comes off really obvious. But I earned those 3 degrees. And so that was something that was really exciting, a big goal that I had for myself. And truthfully, I wasn't sure that it was something that I would be able to accomplish. But I've been blessed with that opportunity to be able to do that. And it's really something that I'm proud of. And I have just a lot of pride regarding it because it's something that I worked really hard to earn, especially as a single mom. My third thing is going to kind of sound weird, but I got married and I got divorced in the last decade. And the reason that I share that as a success is because in my marriage, I lost myself. I lost myself in the process. I lost what I valued. I lost my self-respect and I gave a lot of myself. And that was something that I really harbored a lot of anger and resentment towards myself about. It was difficult for me to forgive myself. Once I was able to move through that forgiveness, I was able to really see that my divorce allowed me to learn and expand in ways that I probably couldn't have if I stayed in a toxic marriage. And so that to me is a third third blessing. There were a lot of great things that came from my marriage, and there were a lot of great things that came from my divorce. And so for that, instead of allowing it to be a place of depression or anxiety or frustration or bitterness or resentment, I choose to look at it with gratitude and be thankful that this is part of my journey, that this has allowed me to become more of who I'm destined and desired to be. The fourth success that I have is I began reading. I know that sounds crazy, but for a long time, I believed that I hate reading. And the reason that is because I was in school for my entire life. Literally, I was in school for 27 years straight, nonstop. I didn't take any breaks between, high school to my first degree, to my second, to my third, to my fourth. There were no breaks. And so I became really resentful about reading because I was always assigned these big projects and these writing assignments and these readings and these books and these articles. And so reading became something that I started to hate, but I tolerated it for the sake of accomplishing my big goals. Well, after I was done with school and able to really start to find myself and figure out who I was and decide who I want to be and just really grow and strengthen myself, I started to explore with personal development and self-help books, and I love them. I absolutely adore reading, something that I thought I would never do. I promised myself when I graduated I would never touch another book. And as of this year, I should be finishing 57 books by the end of the month. And so I went from totally hating it to totally loving it. And the neat thing about it is that I've learned so much. I probably could say, and this is not something that people would like for me to say, but I'm going to be transparent and honest. I probably could say I've learned more in my personal development and self-help journey than I learned through all three of my degrees. And so just my continued education and my continued learning and expanding my knowledge base has really been such a success for me because it's allowed me to be able to support not only myself on my journey, but my clients on their journeys as well. The fifth success that I've had is I'm starting to learn to accept myself, where I am and who I am. And what I mean by that is for a very long time, I assumed that I was extremely abnormal because I didn't like social scenes. All my friends loved clubs and they loved big parties and loved big events. And for me, that was very draining. That was very exhausting for me. And so for a long time, I started to think something was wrong with me socially, or something wasn't right about it, or I needed to be fixed. And society honestly reinforced that idea. My friends would tell me like, girl, you need to get out and you need to do more. But I came to learn through my reading that there's such a thing as introverts, right? And I know for most of you, you're familiar with that. But for a long time, I didn't know that. I come from a family of extroverted people. That I come from a really big family of people that love to be out and love to be on the scene and love to do big gatherings and events. But I never liked that. Once I was able to understand more of what an introvert is, what they need, how energy works, it really changed my perspective on something being wrong with me. And now I look at it and I shifted my perspective and see what can I do to support where I'm at. So I now love to go to events, but I also know that there's a limit on that. I need to maybe pull away. I need to spend some time one-on-one and have more in-depth conversations instead of small talk. Maybe I don't schedule back-to-back events, but me learning more about myself and understanding that there's nothing abnormal about me, it's just part of who I am, has allowed me to really come to a place to truly accept myself, which is totally different than I could have told myself in my 20s. I really struggled with who I was and was I pretty and was I valuable and was I worthy? And I think that that's why I settled for a lot of things career-wise, relationship-wise, emotion-wise. And now I'm not in that position to struggle with that. I know who I am and I'm very comfortable in who I am. And it's taken me a really long time to get there, but that's one of the successes that I'm most excited about in the last decade. The next success I have is I've always wanted to travel out of country. While I've traveled out of country on different like cruise lines and things like that, I wanted a chance to travel out of country and enjoy it. My ex-husband did not enjoy traveling. And for me, I was always very scared to travel as a single mother. Like, how do I go out of the country without people thinking I'm crazy or taking advantage of me or doing mean things? But I have this expansive brain and mind that wants to learn about different cultures and wants to learn different languages. And I want to try different foods. And I like that. And so a big step for me was first getting my passport, but more importantly, taking my girls to 2 different places. We traveled to both Cozumel and we traveled to Paris. And it was life-changing. We practiced Spanish prior to going to Cozumel. We got to snorkel and try different things. And then we traveled to Paris and we learned French and we tried different French cuisine. And we walked the Eiffel Tower, did not take the elevator, but we walked it because we wanted to enjoy every single step and every single moment. Interesting fact about the Eiffel Tower, if you ever go on a windy day, it definitely shifts in the wind. And if you're on the top, you can feel it. And it's probably one of the scariest feelings ever. But I really felt like I was living. In a total of 6 days that I was there, I walked over 35 miles. And I've noticed that on my Apple Watch. And my mother had her Fitbit because she also went as well. And we tracked it, but I didn't even notice it because I was enjoying it so much. And that really helped me to reinforce the importance of just living, enjoying life, being in the moment, and just being mindful of your experiences and what you're seeing and what you're going through. It's awesome. So that was also really exciting. The next thing I'm proud of is I maintained a good financial status. One of the things that I have worked really hard is to break generational curses on financial struggles within my family. And I've worked really, really hard over the last decade to raise my credit score and to keep it consistent. There was a period after my divorce where it took a really, really big dip, but I didn't lose faith. I didn't get discouraged. I just continued to practice the same strategies that I had been practicing all along. And I'm finally back at a place to where I was in the beginning. And it's really exciting to watch that growth and that consistency and how it pays off. The next step is becoming a becoming a best-selling author. That was one of the biggest things for me. I always had a dream to write a book, but I had a teacher who told me that I wasn't qualified. I wasn't good enough. I didn't have good writing strategies. I would never be able to even be in an advanced writing class. Even though I was in advanced classes for everything else, I could never be in an advanced writing class because I wasn't writing appropriately. And so I really struggled a lot with my mindset and my beliefs about my ability as a writer. But I had this idea and this push to write, and it wouldn't go anywhere. And for a long time, I pushed it to the side, I pushed it to the side, and I pushed it to the side, and I just let it go. Back in 2016 is when I first began my first blog. I wasn't very consistent with it. I tried it again in 2017, and from there, it's just like the floodgates opened. I continued to write. And to this very moment, I have 9 books. I have 2 journals and 2 planners and a running blog and vlog. So it's really, really exciting to see that I had this little dream that I almost didn't even believe, but I nurtured it, I fostered it, and it grew into something better. And how exciting is it to know that my hard work and my dedication and my beliefs in myself have really paid off. Even better than that, becoming a published author allowed me to start a business that I didn't even know would exist. When I became a published author, people started to come to me and ask me to help write their books and edit their books and help them connect with the right people and market their book and come up with ideas and narrow down their ideas and break up their, crazy mindset thoughts about writing. And so all of these things, and I was able to turn that into an entire small publishing company, which allowed me to help several women publish their books, become best-selling authors, and also subsequently turn their books into a brand, into businesses. And I've had amazing clients that have had amazing speaking engagements and started brands and changed people's lives. And so that just started from me having one dream of becoming a published author. And before I knew it, I had a business following, and that just was so exciting. And from there, from teaching people how to write, publish, and prosper off of books, I got an opportunity to really talk to people that were dealing with a lot of trauma and a lot of hurt, which allowed me to see that the things that I had experienced as a child and through my marriage and through adulthood, various traumas or depression and anxiety and things like that, allowed me to be able to relate and support other people who are also going through it. And so my business got me to my 10th greatest success, which was being able to have an impact. If I could pick anything on that list, I would say being able to have an impact has been one of the most amazing blessings of my life. It's been so exciting to see what I was embarrassed about or what I was bitter about or what I was angry at God about or what I didn't understand has really come full circle and allowed me to bless people. My test has allowed me to be a testimony, a testament for other people struggling. My struggles have allowed me to find my success, and my hurt has allowed me to heal in a way that has opened the door and encouraged and supported other people that also deserve and desire to find that healing. And so just going through that decade in review allowed me to see that there were a ton of things that took place in the last 10 years. And the last 10 years went by super quick, but I was still accomplishing things, and I am walking in a direction of success. I'm not in the same place I was 10 years ago. I'm no longer sad or depressed or playing victim or not understanding who I am or lacking confidence and self-esteem, but I am now a person that's able to step into my power unapologetically and go after my goals intentionally and really be able to accomplish them. And so my challenge to you today is to take a moment to review the top 10 things that you learned through this decade, or your top 10 successes through this decade. And then I want you to take it one step further, which I also did for myself. I asked myself to identify one thing that I would have shared with my younger self 10 years ago. And I actually came up with two, because these are things that I wish that I knew, that I struggled with at that time. The first thing is, don't cry over spilled milk. It's spilled, clean it up, and move forward. And so for me, if I had known that once something already happens, I can't fix it. I struggled with that for a long time, with trying to undo things that were already done and hoping that it was, in my imagination, or things weren't true, or that better things couldn't be coming unless the past was fixed first. And I stayed in a really stuck place for a long time, crying over spilled milk that I should have wiped up and allowed myself to move forward with. I read a quote recently, and it said, "Our pride will have us crying over closed doors that have nothing behind it." And that really stood out to me. That was me 10 years ago. I cried over doors that God was closing because I didn't trust that the doors that were opening were bigger and better. And I wish that I knew that going into the future. I wish that I knew that so that I could look, more with a more positive lens about my future and be more optimistic and excited to step into that. Finally, the second thing that I would have shared with my younger self, or if you're younger than me and you want some wisdom and advice, is change is a good thing if you let it be. I think a lot of times we become very resentful of change. We become avoidant of change. We try to act like we don't want to embrace it or let it happen. But if you let change come into your life, you can learn so much. I think about my finances. Like I said, I've always really kept my finances really well in order. And when my divorce hit, I had to really regroup and try again and figure out how to stay afloat with my financial, viewpoint and what was happening with my money. But that experience of really just hitting that rock bottom allowed me to see that I could bring myself out of it, allowed me to learn a lot about my resilience and my ability to strengthen my resolve and to move forward and to keep pushing, and my diligence and dedication to my growth. But had I not experienced that, who knows, right? Had I not embraced the change that came my way when it came time for me writing a book, or had I not embraced the change that came my way when it came time for me to start my business, I'd still be in the same place, wondering if I was capable of it. But if you allow change to come into your life and you look at it as a positive thing, or you assume that it is a positive thing, it really can be, because you're allowing yourself to grow. So I want to thank you again for joining me today. This is so important because, like I said, you can look at a picture and you can assume that this person is in a great mood, or that they've grown because their hair has grown, or maybe their skin looks a little bit more clear, or maybe they lost a little weight or whatever. But pictures don't really tell the full story. So I challenge you today to reflect on your full story and share it with somebody you love. More importantly, once you share your full story, start to consider what your big goals are moving into the new year for the next decade. What 10 successes are you aiming to achieve in the next decade? Until next time, I will chat with you guys later, and have an amazing day. Bye.